All right, I really hate that I have to come on here and make another video about this, but I have to because the level of disrespect that I've seen this week about Sanford Stadium is out of control. It is absolutely ridiculous, and we're talking about this again because EA Sports recently dropped their toughest places to play. That's going to be in the upcoming video, and we're going to talk about the list in just a second because there's clearly a lot wrong with the list, but they have Sanford Stadium at number 5, and a lot of people had a complete meltdown over this. I mean, just tears running down their face. A lot of people upset, and it's pretty ridiculous. Sanford Stadium is easily one of the toughest places to play in college football. Now, I'm not saying it's the toughest place to play, although if you look at the numbers, their record since 2017, the amount of false starts that top offenses have when they come and play between the hedges, you could make the case it is. And I'm not saying it's the loudest either, okay? But it can be, at times, one of the loudest stadiums in college football. But there are way too many people, and they're all really anti-Georgia people that don't want to give Georgia any credit, who just believe that the stadium is a library. And I know that historically, Sanford Stadium is not one that people think of first when it comes to, the toughest, craziest environments or the loudest stadiums. Like, I get all that. But things change, cultures change, the environment changes, right? The fan base can change. And since 2017, it's hard to find a tougher place to play than Athens, Georgia, Sanford Stadium, between the hedges, against Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, the haters will come out and say, well, it's just because they're really good, right? They've got a really good defense, really good team. It's not the fan, it's not the environment that makes it tough to play. And yes, that's one aspect, right? That's one reason it's tough to play. But if you don't think that the Sanford Stadium crowd and the Georgia fans are making a huge impact on the game when a top 10 team comes into Athens, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. And the level of disrespect that I saw in the comments section of people still crying, probably days later, about the fact that Sanford Stadium is rightfully in the top 5 in the new video game for toughest places to play. It's crazy, and it shows that there are a lot of people out there that just refuse to acknowledge what Georgia has done on their home turf and the crowd noise that the stadium brings. And you could date it back to even, some of the the Mark Richt days, right? 2004, when LSU came to town, they were defending national champions. They came into Athens, and the crowd noise was deafening. It hurt LSU. When they came back in 2013, they put up a lot of points on Georgia, but that crowd was electric, and it made an impact late in that game. Georgia went on to win that game, and the crowd was nuts, and it affected LSU's offense. Clemson, 2014. The Auburn blackout, 2007, the crowd made a huge impact. So again, historically, no one really considers it to be that great of a place, tough place to play, right? But things have changed, and if you don't get it, you don't realize, then you're wrong. First off, I do want to say that there's a big difference between the loudest stadiums and the toughest places to play, right? A lot of places I hear are very loud, like Penn State. I keep hearing Penn State is very loud. Don't tell me it's one of the toughest places to play in college football. I'm not buying it, okay? Same with Tennessee. I keep hearing Neyland Stadium is extremely loud. I haven't seen it personally because I covered Georgia, and the Dogs have had no problem going up to Sanford Stadium North and crushing Tennessee in their own stadium. They've done it for the past 4 years, and that crowd has had zero impact on Georgia's offense the last 4 times they've gone up there. They've also lost to Georgia State in Neyland Stadium in the last 5 years. So Neyland Stadium is outside of the top 10 for the EA Sports ranking, and that triggered a lot of people. But let's talk about it real quick. They've got Kyle Field at number 1. That's ridiculous because LSU should be number 1. As I look at the list right now, LSU could be number 1 as far as loudest stadiums. I could see it number 1, and toughest place to play, number 1. Now, I know that Tennessee's top-ranked offense in 2022 went in there and hung half 100 on LSU in Baton Rouge, and that's the same offense that went into Sanford Stadium and was 100% triggered by Sanford Stadium's crowd. Like, it 100% affected them. They could not handle Sanford Stadium that day. It was too much for the Tennessee offense. Georgia, and I believe it's 2008, went to Baton Rouge and hung up 50 on the Tigers, right? I get all that. But It's crazy. It's on another level. You're just gonna have to trust me. I've covered a game there. It's a domino effect. You go to Tiger Stadium and you don't play well. You have a turnover or two. It escalates and it gets tougher and tougher to get that offense in order when that crowd, which can be deafening, crazy loud. It's just a different culture over there. And real quick, I have to say that the fans have to do a better job of being more consistent. I thought it could have and probably should have been louder last year. When Missouri came to town, when South Carolina comes to town, sometimes it's pretty loud and crazy when Kentucky comes to town, but Georgia fans, I don't think really respect South Carolina and Kentucky and Missouri for them to get up and be their best. And that's okay because Georgia fans are spoiled, and that's a good thing. They expect the Dogs to just kick butt and dominate every time they play there. And when they don't, it can get a little quiet here and there. But for the most part, what they did when Tennessee came to town 2 years ago was elite. Elite crowd, elite atmosphere. And again, the haters will say, well, that's just one game, right? One game, the number one team in the country in town. They should have been loud. Ask Notre Dame in 2019, another elite atmosphere, elite crowd noise. It triggered the Notre Dame offense. They went backwards. The number of false starts they had. Arkansas, undefeated, top 10 ranked Arkansas in 2021 came to town. They went backwards the whole time. Kentucky, I think, has had multiple top 25 teams coming to town, and the crowd has been good. And I don't think it's been truly elite when Kentucky's in town because it's Kentucky, right? Georgia Tech, the same way. It's Georgia Tech. The crowd doesn't need to be at their best for Georgia to beat Georgia Tech by, 20, 30, 40 points, right? But when Tennessee comes to town, 2014, DeMarcus Dobbs falls on the safety in the end zone. Place was going nuts, right? Auburn in 2014, Auburn in 2019. You see where I'm going with this. Anytime LSU comes to town, Ole Miss last year, top 10 Ole Miss, came to Athens, they got crushed. And the fans were a big reason for that. So the average college football fan, they just want something to latch on to Georgia about that they can, say, oh, it's not that great, it's not that great. And normally they just point to Sanford Stadium and be like, well, Georgia's really good, but that stadium's not that great. It's not that loud. And it's ridiculous. It is very loud, can be extremely loud at times, when the moment is there, when the game and the opportunity is there. They were as loud as any game I've seen at noon when Arkansas came to town a few years ago. And that was a noon game. Place was rocking, right? Most of the time at night, place is rocking. 2021 South Carolina was that night when JT Daniels ripped apart South Carolina's defense, just shredded them. Arch Manning was in the crowd, right? That was a great atmosphere. But let's go back to the toughest places to play. So Kyle Field's number one. That's ridiculous. They put Alabama at number two. I'm sure it's loud. Is it number two? I don't know. I hope to go see later this fall. But okay, Tiger Stadium's at number three, should be at number one. Ohio Stadium, that seems like a place that's more tough to play than loud. Maybe I'm wrong there. I've never been, but I guess I get it. Beaver Stadium at six. It's probably the sixth loudest. It could be, I guess. People say it's the loudest or one of the loudest during the whiteout, whatever. Don't tell me it's the number six toughest place to play. I'm not buying it. Camp Randall Stadium at Wisconsin. Are you kidding me? That's above Jordan Hare Stadium, which is easy top 10, pushing top 5. That is a place that's loud and tough to play. They've got several losses at home because of the team. That crowd gives it all they have. I'm not saying anything bad about Jordan Hare Stadium and that environment, other than the fact that it kind of smells bad there. I don't know if it's the odor in the air on the planes or just the lack of deodorant that the fans wear. I don't know. It's just kind of a weird smell compared to other places. But it's loud. It's rocking. And that could be a really tough place to play. If you start turning the ball over, that crowd just really gets on you. It can be very tough to play. They put that at 14. That's ridiculous. Williams-Brice Stadium, sneaky loud, sneaky tough to play. They have that at 15. That probably should be higher. Neyland Stadium's at 13. I get it. It's very loud, but I'm not buying that. It's not a tough place to play right now. It's just not. They have Doak Campbell Stadium, FSU, at number 9. Not sure I buy that. When they're bad, that stadium's empty. It's empty. They'll show up and be loud when the team is good, but that's not a super intimidating place to play, especially when they're average or even above average. The fans will get out of there quickly. Ben Hill Griffin Stadium 10. I can see it. I've heard the Swamp is a great place, great environment. I'm not trying to hate on it at all. I've never been, never covered a game there, so I can't really tell. Clemson, Memorial Stadium at 12, toughest place to play. Are you kidding me? That place is crazy. I've been to a lot of Clemson games, probably a lot more than the people watching this. My best friend was a Clemson fan. I went to a lot of games as a kid. That's a great environment. It is loud, very loud there. That could be a really tough place to play. To put that at 12 outside of the top 10 is crazy. Autzen Stadium, number 11. It's built to be loud. There's not 90, 100,000 people there, but I'm sure it's loud. You're right. That's all I hear. Tough place to play. I'm okay at 11. I missed Oklahoma. That's at number 8. Okay. I mean, I'm not sure I'm buying that. Michigan Stadium, 16. The way it's built, I know it's not super loud, but that's a lot of people. That's a very intimidating place to play. Lane Stadium is great. They have got that at 17. That should probably be higher. Rice-Eccles Stadium at Utah. You don't want to play the Utes at night. Guaranteed. You don't want to do it. That should be higher. And then they got a few others, but there's way too much hate for Sanford Stadium being at number 5. It is what it is. You need to accept it. If you want to trash Sanford Stadium, if you haven't come around to respecting that place and the crowd level and the noise yet, you never will. I mean, you're just blind and will never accept it. And that's on you because it makes you look like a dumb college football fan. Sanford Stadium is easily a top 5 toughest place to play. Look at the record. Look at what they do to the opposing offenses. They've lost once there in recent years. It was South Carolina 2019 in a game where the offense blew it. They were terrible, including Jake Fromm, Tyler Simmons, the offensive line, Rodrigo Blankenship. It wasn't the crowd that lost them that game. The offense blew that game. But yeah, that's just my thoughts. If you're still hating on Sanford Stadium, grow up, realize you're wrong, and you need to finally accept it because it is it might be the toughest place to play. I totally get them being at number 5. Crazy atmosphere. It's one of the best cultures, best environments you'll find across college football. I know because I'm in the press box every game. I know more than most how hard it is for opposing teams to come in there. Not only because Georgia's very, very good, but because of the Sanford Stadium crowd and the culture and the environment there. Crazy tough to play, place to play if you're an opposing team. No one wants to go in there and play the Dogs. No, you don't want any of that. I don't know when the next time to lose at home is. It might not be for a while because it's really tough to play. Thanks for watching. What are your comments? Comment in the description below. Am I wrong? Am I right? I'm probably right, but if you want to argue, go for it. Go for it. It's the off season. Let's go. Let's debate. See you on the website.